watching this on replay, thank you. Bless your heart. There should be a pinned comment down below with time codes of all the different questions that I answer, so you can just jump around the live stream. You don't have to watch all my rambling if you've got a question that's more interesting to you than other questions. Today, for our kickoff question, I thought I would answer a question that came up because last week I had the absolute privilege of being a panelist at an actuarial student conference. It was my first time ever speaking at a conference. Honestly, so blessed. I was at this conference, it was a virtual conference, so I only really had access to the one Zoom call, but I was on this panel with the president of the FCAS and a chief actuary of another company here in Toronto, and so it was really just an absolute honor to be able to be on this panel. I got invited because I have this YouTube channel which just allows me a ton of different opportunities, and I'm really just blessed for that. And you know how after you go to a job interview or after a date or after just a conversation, sometimes you tend to go over it in your mind and you say, what did I say well? What did I forget to say? And I realized that I told a half story and I didn't actually finish the story and didn't really get to the punchline. And the question was, why did I end up in P&C? And I mentioned that I didn't really enjoy my first property and casualty actuarial internship. And then after doing other internships, I realized, oh yeah, I did, but I didn't explain why I didn't like my first actuarial internship and what it was about it that made me go back. And so I posed this question on my actuarial Instagram page, at Actuarial, same way it's spelled here. You can go follow me on Instagram. My stories are always fire. I keep my stories active. I don't post on my feed very often, but do follow me on Instagram. Hit me up in the DMs if you want. I asked you guys if you wanted to know why I didn't like my first P&C actuarial internship, and it got a lot of votes, people saying yeah, they want to know. So thought I'd chit chat about it here, and hopefully you guys find it helpful. It helps you along your actuarial journey. It helps you decide between the different types of actuaries they can be: life actuaries, property and casualty actuaries, pensions, annuities, investments. Hopefully my experiences can help you. I will stop rambling now and I will get into the story. So I went to university in Montreal, and as part of my university program, we had to do 4 internships over the course of my degree. My first internship was a non-actuarial internship. I just found a generic office job. I interviewed at the company that I work for now, but they didn't hire me as a first-year student because, there are other candidates to hire, and they didn't hire me at the time. No hard feelings, a little bit of hard feelings. They probably regret it. Definitely regret it. I would have been excellent. Nah. And so I just got a generic office job, but my second actuarial internship was a completely different experience. I got tons of interviews. I got a bunch of job offers for internships, and I ended up booking my first actuarial internship for January to April 2013. Yeah, I'm old. We get it. I turned 30 this year. I'm aging. So January to April 2013 was when I booked my first internship at a property and casualty insurer, and at the same time I pre-planned to do an internship in health and benefits consulting for September to December of the same year. So I had my whole year of 2013 booked for internships, and knowing day one going into my P&C internship that I would try something else. I did not enjoy that first internship. Spoiler, that the P&C internship is at the company that I work for now. So I did 2 internships with them, and I work full-time for them for almost 6 years. So I think I've changed my tune, but I hated it. I felt so overwhelmed. I did not enjoy what I was doing. I remember going to the bathroom and just crying. I remember distinctly having a conversation with my internship coordinator from university saying, well, at least you tried it. You crossed it off your list. Now you know that this isn't the company that you want to work for. Now you know this isn't the area of actuarial work that you want to do. And that's kind of part of the goal of doing internships, is not just to, it's not just to find where you're going to be working in the future, but also a big part of it is ruling things out. You get a chance to try it for 4 months, and if you hate it, no harm, no foul. You don't have to quit. You don't have to burn any bridges. You just move on with your life. And in hindsight, what I realized is I did not enjoy the work. What I didn't like was not being the smartest person in the room anymore. What I did not like was that things were not immediately obvious to me. And that I found to be very shocking and very hard for me to handle, because I was used to being top of the class in my university, easily get good grades in high school. You don't try very hard. You study a little bit, you pass the test, no problem. You get good grades. You're told you're excellent. Everyone claps for you. Michelle claps for you. You did well. Oh my gosh. This is the life that I was used to. And I showed up at this actuarial internship, and there are a few things that were working against me. One, it was in French. And while I am fluent in French, I'm not used to speaking in French. And so that just added a layer of difficulty right there, where it wasn't in my native language. And I have, side note, so much respect for all my coworkers working in English, who English is not their first language, whether their first language is Mandarin, or I have coworkers from Indonesia, I have coworkers from Pakistan, and I have French Canadian coworkers, just all over, people who it's not their first language and they manage to do it very seamlessly. So respect to them. That's a whole other story. I found just that was just a little layer of, oh, you're a little bit out of your comfort zone. The second thing that really threw me off was the way they did it during my internship. Was first day, all day SAS training. SAS is a statistical analytics software. It's a programming language. And then the second day they go, okay, code this in SAS. And obviously they were going to coach me through it. They didn't expect me to figure it out right away. But I just felt so overwhelmed, because if you've ever learned a programming language, you know that one day is not enough to learn a programming language. And it was just so scary for me to try to be told, do this, and it's just not immediately obvious. There are plenty of things that I didn't know it before, and then I know it after, but you can learn it in half an hour, whatever. But to understand programming and to understand the actuarial context of what I was doing, I had no context for what I was doing. I didn't understand what I was working on. I was just so busy trying to mechanically make the SAS code do the thing that I wanted the SAS code to do. I had to try to make it read the database so that it could understand it, so that it could save something, so it could do. And I didn't even think to ask, why am I doing this? I didn't think to ask the bigger picture. What is the context of anything? How does this fit into the bigger actuarial role? Because I was so scared and so focused on the mechanics of how do I make A do, or how do I make the program make A into B, and how do I get this to work? It was scary. I didn't like that feeling. I wasn't used to not being immediately good at something. And then I went to my second actuarial internship, where I was at a consulting company, and a lot of the work that they gave me as an intern was either just really generic, or the actuarial work that I was doing was they already had these pre-built Excel templates. And as a health and benefits consulting actuary, you're an intermediary between a company that wants to offer benefits to their employees and the insurance company that will underwrite the benefits. And so what will happen is every year at renewal, the insurance company will send you, as the consulting company, the data, and then you can validate their analyses, and the insurance company will say, we want to charge them X dollars based off of XYZ assumption, and then you'll review the assumptions and say, I agree, I disagree. And so what I would do is I would take the data, which is pre-aggregated data, it's not line by line, it's summarized data. I would put it in this Excel file, and then the Excel file would do the math. I didn't understand the actuarial programming behind the Excel file because I didn't have to. I just had to plug numbers in to a protected file. And there was no thinking involved, really. I mean, as you got higher up, and if I had a much better understanding of what the Excel files were doing, I think there would have been more thinking involved for sure. But for me, starting out, it really just seemed like I was plugging numbers into a file. And then I thought back to my first internship where, yeah, I was stressed out by SAS. But at least even the most basic thing that I was doing in SAS, I had to take the time to think about it. I had to take the time to understand, okay, how do I make the database do what I want it to do? Because Lord knows, if you've ever worked with data, there is no perfect database. You got to merge things, you got to summarize this and do that, and it was a different level of challenge. And so when I went back the next summer for a second internship at this company that I still work for now, I really approached it with a different light of, I kind of miss this programming thing. I miss having to think while I'm approaching a problem. I miss having to brainstorm about how to manipulate this database. And it was just so much more fun the second time. I also did my second internship in Toronto, which is where I live now. So it was in English. And being able to speak in English was so nice. I mean, I love being bilingual. I think it's so beautiful, the French language, and the fact that there's this pocket of French Canadian culture in Quebec. I think that's wonderful, but working in my native language was easier for sure. So in conclusion, my rambly story is that it wasn't that I didn't like the work, because I liked the work, and now I love the work. I live for the work. No, I don't. I take that back. I'm not the kind of person who lives for work, but I really enjoy the work that I do. It took me a while to get over the fact that I had never been in a place where it felt like everyone else was here and I was here. And I was just really scared that I couldn't get up there. Whereas now, when I think back on it, I go, yo, that is the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because I think, honestly, truly, I think that we are the culmination of the people who are around us. And when I went into that office and I started working there full time, and I said to myself, okay, everyone else is here. I am not falling behind. That's not happening. I am pushing myself, and I'm going to be a good actuary. And so I pushed myself up. And for sure, I would rank myself, I'm a good actuary at that company. I'm at par with the best, or I don't have the same skills as everyone else, and they don't all have my skills, and I think we all bring different things to the table, but I think I bring something to the table. Whereas if everyone else was already at sort of here and I didn't really have to try, I would never have pushed myself to get up there. I think surrounding yourself with strong people. One thing that happened to me was when I went to this first internship, they said, the guy who was coaching me on my team through a bunch of my projects, he was a new fellow. He was 24 years old. They said, look at that guy over there. He got his fellowship at 23. Look at that guy over there. He got his fellowship at 23. Look at that intern who you're working with. He's studying for exam 7, which is a lot more exams than I had passed at that point. He ended up becoming a fellow at 22, as one does. So I saw all these people who had passed all these exams around me, and I thought, I need to step up my game. I need to take these exams seriously, which is good and bad, I would say. My company, we have over 350 actuaries, and including people who are still studying for the exams, so not all of them are fellows. That's a lot of people, and we definitely have a culture of, we're just passing these exams. You got to keep doing it. And there are some people who stop. There are some people who are career ACAS, but a lot of people, they just go, no, this is just the culture. We just keep passing these exams and everyone studies together. And I think this idea of it's just what we do. Everyone studies. We all move forward with this really helps people to pass more exams, because we will have sittings. These exams are designed to have a 40% pass rate, but we've definitely had sittings where 20, 30 people are studying for exams in the office, and like 90+% of people pass. Like 40% is not the general, is everyone. 40% is everyone who passes. But if you get yourself in a good study group and you get yourself really motivated, you can have much better odds than 40% of passing. For sure. For sure. Anyway, that's my little story about how I was a scared little child. And I'm still a scared little child. Let me tell you the truth. I have been in my current role. I've done little things. I've had little periods of time where I've moved out, but I've been in my current role for 3.5 years now. And at my company, people tend to switch roles in the actuarial department every 3-ish years. Sometimes 2 years, sometimes 4 years. Just because we are such a big company that people become very specialized, and we want people to rotate around, and you bring your knowledge to a new team, you learn something new, you work with different people, you network, you get different perspective on the business and whatnot. And part of me is really scared to rotate, so I'm not. I mean, not immediately. I will eventually, probably. But part of me just says, I'm already good at what I'm doing. Why would I want to switch to do something different where I'm a beginner again, where it's scary, where it's not going to be immediately obvious? So even this element of, I'm scared I'm not going to be good at this thing that I've never tried, it was true during my first internship, and it's true for me now, and at least now I can acknowledge it and say, do I want to try something new? Do I want to stay in my comfort zone? Because there are pros and cons to both. There are pros to staying in a role where I do good work, where my opinion is valued, where I'm able to, I know the ins and outs of it. You give me a project, I know how to get it done. There are pros to that. It's efficient. I'm efficient. People value me. But am I growing? Am I learning a bunch of new things? Sometimes, but not as much as if I took on a new role. Anyway, food for thought. Let's see if I got any questions in the chat. Let's see. First, my internship, the chief actuary assigned me and the other actuaries a reserve exercise. Since I never took exam 5 yet, I knew nothing about reserving, so I looked up reserving videos. Then I found your video and it was extremely helpful. Is there any way that you can make more videos on rate making or more reserving? Well, thank you. I appreciate that kindness. Yeah, I mean, in theory, I'll make more videos this year. In practice, I'm very lazy. There's no good reason why I don't make videos, but I don't. I just sit around all day scrolling through TikTok. I have time. I have ideas. I have time. I just don't do it. So I make no promises. But if you have questions, hit me up on my Instagram at Actuarial, same way it's spelled here. Do you think that in upcoming years, machine learning and advanced programming will be required by every actuary or actuarial student? Okay, here's the thing about the future of the actuarial profession. I obviously don't know. I think that what's going to happen is the actuarial profession will veer more towards data science. For sure, 100% data science is going to be a skill set that some actuaries will need. I don't think that every actuary will need to have that skill set. I think there will still be a place for people who do not have that skill set. In the same way that right now I code in SAS. This isn't advanced machine learning analytics that I'm doing, or I'm not doing crazy modeling. We have at my company, we have a joint actuarial data science team who does our machine learning AI modeling. I, as an actuary, review those models from a business perspective, from an actuarial soundness perspective. I will look at the outputs of those models, but I'm not the one building the models. So I code in SAS to do my day-to-day work. I'm not using Python. There are some actuaries in my company using Python. My boss is not coding in SAS because I do that. There are people on my team who are not necessarily coding in SAS because there are still things to be done that don't need to be done in SAS. So I think there is a space for people who don't want to be doing programming but still want to be an actuary. I think there's room for that. However, I think it will become a smaller slice of the overall actuarial pie. I think part of part of being an actuary will be data science. And I think that's a good thing. I think you got to embrace it. Don't you get bored of programming all day long? So I definitely don't program all day long. It really depends on where I am in a project. It really depends on what the problem is. I can work on a project that is entirely in Excel. I can have days where all I'm doing is meetings. I hate that. I am not a fan of meetings. I enjoy some meetings, but a whole day of meetings is my kind of hell. It's a reason why I don't want to go into management, because the more you get promoted up, the more your schedule just fills with meetings. I look at my boss's calendar and he'll be triple booked for things and I'll have to turn down meetings because he has so many meetings. No, thank you. But yeah, part of my work is exploring the data. To be honest, so at my company, there are 3 levels of individual contributors, and at my job level, I technically don't have to be coding in SAS anymore. If I really didn't want to be, I could delegate my SAS work to the more junior employees. They could do the data prep for me, and then I can do more of the advanced analysis of it and take it and oversee it and turn it into insurance prices. I like the SAS coding. I enjoy it. Personally, I have coworkers who got promoted up to my level and they said, now I never have to touch it again. I'm good. You know, you can make your role what you want, especially if you work at a bigger company. If you work at a smaller company, you have to do a little bit of everything. But if you're at a bigger company, one of the nice things is if the company values you and the company will find a role that fits your skill set. It doesn't serve anyone to force you to do a role that you're not enjoying, to force you to do a role where it doesn't fit your skill set. It just doesn't make any sense, because you're miserable, you're not going to be working at your best because it's not what you're thriving on. It's not what makes you so super happy. And better to put you in a role where you're absolutely thriving and doing your best work. I don't know, but I enjoy the SAS. It doesn't make me bored, but I also don't do it 100% of my day. I would say a good 97% of my day is just instant messaging my coworkers on Microsoft Teams. Don't be me. Being an actuarial student, I'm interested in data science more than actuarial science. So should I switch programs, or do I learn about data science while being an actuarial student? I think you can be an actuary who specializes in data science. Absolutely, 100%. If you go on the CAS Webmaster YouTube channel, they just posted an interview with Jessica Long, who is the president of the CAS, and can't remember his name, but he is the head of insurance analytics at Uber. He previously worked at Google. He's on the board of the Casualty Actuarial Society. So Jessica was interviewing a guy whose name is escaping me right now, talking about all this stuff. So as an actuary, you can be a data scientist. As an actuary, you can be a data scientist at a place that is not an insurance company, such as at Uber. That being said, if what you want to do is really pure data science, and if what you want to do is really become really strong in AI, become really strong in programming, I think actuarial exams may distract you from that. So I would focus my attention more on learning how to code in Python and learning the most advanced techniques, learning about XGBoost models and I don't know, things about data science I should learn. But yeah, I mean, do you really want to spend your time studying for actuarial exams if it's not what you think you want to do? Good for that. But there are definitely advantages to being an actuary too, who specializes in data science. Actuaries come with a whole level of professionalism. They come with a level of, what would I say, respect in the industry. I don't know. But it's up to you. I like being an actuary. What area of actuarial work are you currently working in, and why do you enjoy it? I work in property and casualty insurance. I do personal lines pricing. So I come up with the insurance prices for car and home insurance. And why do I enjoy it? Because one, it's a challenge. I actually have to think during my day. Two, I enjoy it because it's I can see how my work directly impacts the customer. It's not sort of a back end job where you feel like you're pushing papers but nothing's happening. I'm literally changing prices that impact the customer, that impacts profitability in the company. The things that I do matter. And three, why do I like my job? Because I work with the most awesome people. My coworkers are great. I love them. Ugh. Are you interested in opening your own actuarial firm? 0%. -%. No percent. Okay, so here's the thing about me. I basically have no desire to do that because I love being, I work for a large insurer and I love being a small cog in a big machine. I love the fact that if I don't feel well today, I can call in and say, hey, I'm taking today off. Nothing happens. They say, okay, feel better. The company keeps moving, the wheels keep turning, everything is fine. I think some people might find that a little bit discouraging. They might think, well, I want a little bit more recognition. I want to feel important. I want to feel like I'm making a difference. And I do in my own role, but I recognize that it's very nice to have this anonymity. It's very nice to be able to say I'm not the most important person, and that if I want to take a break, this time not last year, this time 2 years ago, I'm getting the story, my memories right now are from the trip 2 years ago. I took 4 weeks off to go to Southeast Asia. If you own your own company, if you are your own consulting company, you can't take 4 weeks off. Clients need you. I did it. It's wonderful. I love it. I don't want to start my own company. It's far too lazy. Maybe if I won the lottery and I didn't need a salary and I was just doing it for fun, even then, no chance. Does IFRS standard present opportunities to actuaries? So at my company, there is an IFRS 17 team within the corporate actuarial team. Well, there are people within the corporate actuarial team who are part of the IFRS 17 team, which is not only made up of actuaries, because it is a big thing, because it impacts a lot of different elements of insurance. So actuaries do work full-time on it. I personally do not work on IFRS 17. I do personalized pricing, but it does impact my company for sure. Do you work on the recruiting team? If yes, what are the most important things you're looking into for a new graduate? I do not work on recruitment, partially because I do this. I think it would be a little bit inappropriate of me to be on the recruiting team. I think it could make someone feel a little bit awkward. When I go to an actuarial student conference, students will come up and recognize me, and it's like so heartwarming, and I love it so much when people come up to me and they say, you inspired me to be an actuary, or I love your videos. I think it's really nice. But imagine if you show up to a job interview and I'm at the other side of the table. I think that could be a little bit intimidating. I think it could also present a little bit of an imbalance of power, where if I say publicly what I'm looking for in a student, then a student sees that I'm the person interviewing them. They could play into my preferences and sort of tell the story that they know I want to hear. So I just don't involve myself in recruiting, or very rarely. I'll show up to a recruitment event, but I definitely don't do interviews with students, because I think that would be inappropriate of me. What is -%? It's a joke. It's a joke. What is the process and minimum eligibility requirement to get a job abroad? I'm from India and want to work in the UK. So I really have no idea what they need from you if you want to get hired in the UK. I've personally never looked to work in the UK, so I would look at job postings. Really, if you Google job postings in the UK and see what their criteria are, I know that in the UK they would go by the IFOA standards rather than the Society of Actuaries or the Casualty Actuarial Society, which is what's more common here in North America. And I don't know how many papers would be considered your basic level. Here in North America, I'd say with 2 exams passed, you can start to look for a job, no real problems. I also don't really have any experience moving countries. I moved from Quebec to Ontario, which is province in Canada, to other province in Canada, but there's no visas involved in that. I'm legally eligible to work anywhere in Canada. So I think there might be an element of, do you have to find your own visa to work, or will a company sponsor you to come to that country? I don't know if they will. At my company, we will not. I have no idea. I have no idea how visas work for people who aren't from Canada. I don't know. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I would never move out of Canada, is just because I don't want to deal with visas. All the paperwork. Also because Canada is the best country in the world. Sort of. Nah, New Zealand's crushing it. New Zealand is crushing it right now. They're doing better. I went to New Zealand 6 years ago. Gosh. And it was honestly one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to in my entire life. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that it's been 6 years since I went to New Zealand. You ever just have this moment where you realize that you're old? It's me right now. I'm turning 30 this year, and I'm pretty happy about it. I'm gonna be 30, flirty, and thriving, guys. It's my life. Can you do mock interviews? I haven't had a job interview since 2012, when I was interviewing for my first internship that I did January 2013. So I know absolutely nothing about interviews. You definitely don't want to you don't want any interview advice from me at all, because my knowledge of interviews dates back to 8 years ago. I'm so old. What is the best advice you have for a graduate starting their first actuarial role? Be curious. Just ask a ton of questions. People are generally really receptive to answering questions. People are generally really willing to help you learn. And don't just focus on the question at hand. You know, how do I make this into that? How do I manipulate the data? How do I make this pivot table? How do I, summarize the data the way I'm asked? But why? Why am I being asked to summarize it like that? What business need does this serve? Why would someone want to do that? Because the more questions you ask, the quicker you learn, the quicker you can work independently. The quicker you can work independently, the sooner I can delegate all my work to you, and then I can just chill. That's what I tell new people at my company. Like, once you're working independently, I'll just delegate everything to you, and then I can chill. One of the best pieces of advice, or not even advice, just things that have stuck with me in my life forever from my first actuarial internship, is the guy who was mentoring me. One day he was really busy with work. You could tell he was stressed out. He had a deadline or something. And I went to him and I said, "Hey, do you want me to go get you a coffee or something? Is there something I can do to just help you calm down?" And he turned to me and he said, "Michelle, we don't hire interns to get us coffee. We hire interns to do all the work so that we have time to get coffee ourselves." And that has been my motto ever since, because it's true. As someone who is in a more senior individual contributor role in my company, as someone who is responsible for coaching people beneath me, there's something to be said about Now I don't work overtime. I'm not a work 23 hours a day kind of girl. But even if I did, there is a maximum amount of work that I can output in a day. Even if I were working 24/7, 365, living on energy drinks and just buzzing, there's a maximum amount of work that I can output. But if I can train 10 people to work at my level, I've just 10x'd my productivity, as opposed to just sitting in my own cubicle and saying I don't care about their progress. I'm just going to do my own work. And so there's really something to be said about effectively coaching, effectively overseeing people's work, effectively training them up. I remember during my second internship, I worked with a colleague who I now consider a good friend, who said that one of his life goals is to coach someone up above him. Or how do I say this? Coach someone who eventually surpasses him and just gets promoted above him because they're just such a strong superstar, and he's managed to coach them up to his level, and then they just, that's one of his life goals, and I love that. I would love if one of my interns, if one of my the people that I coach, just, there are some people at the company, you see them and you go, I want to watch your career because that's going to be impressive and I'm excited for you. Meanwhile, my career is going to be so boring. People see such exciting things some people see really exciting things for me, and I have to crush their soul, and I go, I don't want it. I don't want that big C-suite career. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm aiming for. I don't have a ton of ambition. I like my current role. I like what I do. I'm able to coach people. I have influence. I have respect. But I also have freedom. I don't have to worry about the admin work that goes along with managing people. I like my job. Health is covered by government in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong. What is the role of a health insurance companies in such a country? So we do have private insurance in Canada, and there is public health insurance. So as an example, when I go to the doctor, it's free. I don't have to worry about it. I go see my doctor. It's all good. However, when I get my prescription for birth control, because that's the only prescription I get, and I go to the pharmacy, it costs however much a month to get my birth control, because I have private health insurance, they'll cover the cost of the medication. Now, my birth control is not particularly expensive. It costs, I don't know, $10-15 a month, something like that, but it's covered by insurance. My dentist appointment are not covered by health insurance, are not covered by public insurance, so I have private insurance to cover my dentist appointments, stuff like that. Eye appointments would be covered by my private insurance. I can go for massages and physio under my private insurance, and then I think there's some levels of upgrades for my health insurance that I may get from private insurance, but honestly, I'm very blessed that I've never been sick, other than, your generic, I'll get a cold, I'll get the odd stomach bug, I have seasonal allergies, but thankfully I've never been properly ill, and so I've never had to really test the borders of where does public health insurance stop and where does my private health insurance kick in. Do you have any tips or good resources for learning calculus? I'm taking exam FM in February and know enough for the exam, but want to start prepping for P. No. I haven't taken calculus since university, and I haven't been in university in many a year. So no, I don't Google calculus just for fun. I'm sorry, but I imagine there are a million resources online for calculus. So I'm sure you can find some. I just don't know which one is better than the other. Do you think having a master's in data science applied in actuary is as important as having an actuary title? Do you have tips to succeed in this field? Having a master's in data science as opposed to being an actuary. So here in Canada, people don't generally get masters when they're actuaries. I know in the UK, I think it might be a little bit more common for people to get a master's as actuaries. Here, not so much. Here it's within the actuarial department, it's much more valued to be a fellow or to be an associate and pass, at my company, the Casualty Actuarial Society exams. At some companies, it might be the Society of Actuary exams. That being said, if your focus, if you want to focus more on data science, the actuarial exams, I'd say, are lacking in that respect, and getting your own education, whether it's via a master's, whether it's via a course certificate, may be helpful if that's something that you want to do. I know that the Casualty Actuarial Society has their, what do they call it? Specialist in predictive analytics or something. I think it's the certified specialist. I don't know what they call it. They have some sort of certification that you can do within the Casualty Actuarial Society that is separate from the 10 exams that make you a fellow, to become certified in predictive analytics. That being said, I haven't taken that course. Do I know if that's better than taking something on Coursera or what do they call it? Data Camp, or all of those ones that I've never tried but see advertised. I don't know how the CAS one ranks against those. So I don't know. Yeah. Oh my gosh, y'all. One of the things that's really nice about not studying anymore is when I would study, I would sit like this all the time because I was, doing my work. And I used to get terrible headaches that would radiate up from my shoulders, up my neck, and then in my back of my head. Whereas now I don't get those anymore, which is really nice. Occasionally, if I'll get a tension headache, but when I was studying all the time, just bad posture would get to me. But now I try to be more broad. And if you didn't know, if you're not following me on Instagram, I've shouted out my actuarial Instagram account twice already, but then I also have a regular Instagram account, and literally all I do is I post about the fact that I'm doing a 30-day challenge for yoga right now. So if you're not following that account, you're missing out on some high quality yoga content. But I went to see a physio this time last year, and she told me that I have no upper back mobility, and then that stuck with me, and now I realize that I have none. It's a fun fact. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the end of the questions that have been coming in. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following me on Instagram. Thank you for asking for questions. I got another question saying, what's your Instagram? The actuarial one is at Actuarial, same way it's spelled here. My personal Instagram, it's public, you can find it, is at LLPic, ELLELLEPIC. If you want that low quality yoga content, hit me up. Anyway, thank you for calling. I love you guys. Good luck on your actuarial journey, and share this video with a friend or any of my videos. Love you. Bye. And end.